Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Math Made Easy with Terry in 10 minutes. So I'm going to talk about how to find area and perimeter of a rectangle. Okay, how do you find the area and the perimeter of a rectangle? Before I proceed, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you've not clicked the notification bell, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please do click on that. So we've been talking about finding the area and perimeter of two-dimensional shapes. We've talked about how to find the area and perimeter of a square. Now what to find the area and perimeter of a rectangle. So basically, a rectangle is a two-dimensional closed shape with four sides. So that means a rectangle looks like this. So a rectangle looks like this. It's a two-dimensional shape. It has four sides. So you have one side here and one side here, but the opposite sides are equal. So that will be the length, and that this is going to be the breadth. So the length, the two sides, which are the opposite sides of the length, are equal, and the opposite side of the breadth are also what? Equal. And also, you also have four corners. So it has one corner here, or the vertices, another corner here. It has another one here. It has another one here. And also one of the things as well with a rectangle is that similar to a square, they're all at right angle to each other. So all this information are very important when we are going to be solving this. And each of the sides are parallel and equal to each other as well. Okay, each of the sides are parallel and equal to each other. And one of the things as well, you also notice as well that if you have a particular rectangle, so we've already established that we have a rectangle. So this is the length and this is the breadth, okay? Now, a line that divides it through this, so this is what we call a diagonal, okay? So the L is equal to the length. The B is equal to the breadth. And the D is the what? The diagonal of the rectangle. So that is that for that, okay? So because I know students will take note, I'm going to write down what I just said here so that it will be easy for you to understand. So when we say a rectangle is a two-dimensional closed shape. A rectangle is a two-dimensional closed shape, okay, with four sides. So we've talked about it. So it has with four sides. Now, not only does it have four sides, it has four corners. All right. And these four corners definitely means that they have what? Four right angles. Okay. And these right angles, this means they are what? 90 degrees. Now, not only does it have four sides, four corners, and four right angles, the opposite sides of the rectangle are always equal and parallel. So that means, like I said, this is going to be parallel to this side, equal and parallel. So this side is also parallel to that side, okay? So that means with the opposite sides, so with the opposite sides, of a rectangle, uh, they are equal and parallel. Okay, so that is it for that. So the area and perimeter of a rectangle is a two-dimensional closed shape with four sides, four corners, and four right angles, with the opposite sides of the rectangle equal and parallel. Okay, and for a rectangle, you talk about the length, you talk about the breadth. All right, good. So the next thing now is we're going to focus now on the perimeter of a rectangle. So how do you find the perimeter? of a rectangle. So how do you find the perimeter of a rectangle? So the perimeter of a rectangle. All right. Now, so similarly, like I told you, the perimeter, the concept of a perimeter means is the distance around the shape, okay? So basically, in a rectangle, the same thing, the distance around the rectangle. So you have to find the perimeter of a rectangle by adding all the lengths of the four sides, okay? So you find the perimeter of a rectangle by adding all the lengths of the four sides. So I'm going to write this down. So to find the perimeter of a rectangle, we add the lengths of all four sides. Okay, so that means if we have, let's assume we have this rectangle, right? So let's assume we have this rectangle. So like I said, this is the length. So the opposite sides are equal and parallel. And this is the breadth, are equal and parallel. And we said to get the perimeter, we have to add the lengths of all the four sides. So that means the perimeter definitely will be equal to the length, the two lengths, plus we're going to add the two breadths. Okay. Now, if you look at this, we can simplify this further. So it's going to be 2L plus B will give you what? 2B. And if you want to factorize this, you can bring out the 2 and you now have L plus B. And this is how you find the perimeter of a what? Of a rectangle. So basically, to get the perimeter of a rectangle is 2 into bracket L plus B, or you can say 2L plus 2B. All right, let's pick an example for this, okay? So let's assume we have this question here. Now we're told that given the rectangle, or given the length of a rectangle, so let's assume in this rectangle, let's assume we have it as 10 centimeter, all right? And the width we have it is 5 centimeter. Okay, we're now told to find the perimeter. Okay, we're told to find the perimeter. Okay, so basically, sometimes in some of the questions you might be asked to draw, sometimes you might not be asked to draw, you can just go straight and solve it. But because I'm teaching a large audience, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it like this. Okay, so we have this shape. So we're told the length is 10 centimeter and the breadth or the width is what? 5 centimeter. So how do you now find the perimeter? So we know that the formula for the perimeter, okay, we know the perimeter is equal to 2 into bracket L plus B, all right? So that will give us 2 into bracket 10 plus 5. And this is going to give us 2 times what? 15. And this is going to be what? 30 what? Centimeter. And that is how you find what? The perimeter of a what? Rectangle. Is that okay? So basically, the perimeter, the formula is 2LB. So basically, you need to know the length and the breadth first before you find the perimeter. So similar to what I did with the square, let's pick another example that has something to do with the diagonal, okay? Let's have something like that. So number 2. So let's assume we have this example. We're told the length of a rectangular yard is 40 meter, okay? But this rectangular yard is 40 meter more than the width, okay? So it's 40 meter more than the width. So remember, you can call it the width. Some textbook will call it the breadth. So it's exactly the same thing. Now we're told that if the length is 100 meter, we're now told to now find the perimeter of this rectangular yard. Okay? The length of a rectangular yard is 40 meter more than the width. Okay? Now, if the length is 100 meter, find the perimeter of the rectangular yard. Now, let's look at this now. So we have this, and we're told, so if this is the length, so we're told the length is 100 meter, but they said the length is 40 meter more than the width. So that means the width is going to be 40 meter less than the length. Is that making sense? So that means the width is going to be 40 meter less than the length. So the width will now become 100 minus 40, and that will give us what? 60 meters. So now you can see the width is now 60 meters, 40 meters less than the length. Also, you can see that the length is 40 meters more than the what? The width. Okay? So now with this now, we can find the perimeter. The perimeter is going to be equal to 2 into bracket L plus B. Okay? And that will give us 2 into bracket 100 plus what? 60. And that will give us equal to 2 times 160. And this is going to give us 300 and what? 20 meters. All right, and that is it. So you can see we can get that as well. Now let's pick another question here, number 3. So we're told the diagonal of a rectangular yard is 5 meters. And the breadth or the width is 3 meters. We're now told to what? Find the length. So find the perimeter of the yard. Okay, so in this question now, it's a little bit interesting, okay? So we're told now that a rectangular yard is 5 meters and the width is 3 meters. We should find the perimeter of the yard. So what do you do? So like I always tell students, it's usually better to, if you can draw it so that you can visualize it, okay? So this is a rectangular yard. We're told the width is 3, but we're not given the length. But we're given the what? The diagonal to be what? 5. So like I told you in the previous video, that diagonal usually divides a two-dimensional shape into 2 equal parts. So that means we can now say, if we want to look at this, we can now say that this graph is broken into 2. So you can now have it like this. So it's either you have it like this, or you have it like this. So here, so remember that the breadth is 3, so that means both sides are 3 because it's a rectangle and both sides is the length. So that means you can have it as 3 and L here, or you have it as 3 and L. But the diagonal in both sides is 5 and 5. And we know that it's a right angle what? Triangle. Are you seeing it? So now we can pick one. So let's pick anyone. So we can pick one of the triangles and try to solve this. So this part is 5, this part is 3, and this part is L. So now you can remind yourself from Pythagoras theorem. I've talked about it in the earlier videos in this series. So remember, just to remind us, Pythagoras, I told you for Pythagoras theorem, how do you find Pythagoras? So Pythagoras is if you have the long side, the hypotenuse that is directly opposite the right angle, and you have 2 other sides. Pythagoras says that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of what? The 2 other sides. Or if you're looking for the 2 other sides, it's basically rearranging this. So a squared is going to become c squared minus b squared, or you can say b squared is equal to c squared minus a squared. So I've talked about this earlier, so the Pythagoras theorem, okay? So what we're going to do is that we're going to apply the Pythagoras theorem to this now. So we can now say 5 squared is equal to 3 squared plus L squared, okay? I'll take 3 squared to this side. So therefore, we can now have 5 squared minus 3 squared is equal to what? L squared. So 5 squared is 25 minus 9 is equal to L squared. So 25 minus 9 is what? 16 is equal to L squared. So therefore, we can now say L squared is equal to 16. Now to look for L, you now what? Square root both sides. So L will be equal to plus or minus 4. All right. So remember, I told you that when you square root, it gives you plus or minus 4, but the length can only be positive. So therefore, L will be equal to what? 4. Are you seeing it? So that means now I can redraw this and put the L here to be 4. So that means I can now say that this triangle is actually like this. Sorry, the rectangle, I beg your pardon, is like this. So this part here is what? 5. This is 3. And this is what? 4. Are you seeing it? This is 3 and this is 4. Now, we now know from this now that the length or we can put it this way. If we do it, I forgot to put the right angle. So just to show you. So if this is 3, this also is going to be 3. This is going to be what? 4. So therefore now we can now say the length is going to be 4 and the breadth is going to be what? 3. So with this now, we can now find the perimeter. So the perimeter now is equal to 2 into bracket L plus B. And that would be equal to 2 into bracket 4 plus 3. And that will give you 2 times 7. And that will give you 14. What was the unit? The unit, was it meters or centimeters? Let me have a quick look. Meters. So it's going to be 14 what? Meters. So that will be the answer for that. So the perimeter of this shape in this question is 14 what? Meters. So I hope that helps. So we'll go straight to the next one, which is the area of a rectangle, okay? So how do you find the area of a rectangle? So let's do this. So open a new page for that. So we'll go to the last one, which is the B. How do we then find the area of a rectangle? So the area of a rectangle basically is talking about the enclosed part by the edges of that shape. So basically, how do you do it? You find the area of the rectangle here by multiplying the length and the breadth. So how do you get the area of a rectangle? It's talking about what's the value of that shape where you multiply the length and the breadth. So therefore, if you have a rectangle this way, okay? Now this is the length and this is the breadth, okay? So the area of this is equal to the length times the breadth. And that's how you find it. And because I'm aware, some people do write or do take notes, so I'm going to write this. So the area of a rectangle is derived by multiplying the length and width. Okay, so the length times the breadth is going to give you what? The area of the what? Rectangle. All right, so let's pick an example for this so that we can try and see if we understood it. So we have this example here. So we're told, number one, we're told given the length of a rectangle is 10 centimeter and the width is 5 centimeter. We're now told to find the area. So we're told to do two things. One, we're told to find A, the area, and B, the area of the rectangle, and B, the diagonal of the rectangle. Okay, so now if we want to have this correctly, so basically we're saying we have a rectangle like this. The length is 10 centimeter. The width is 5 centimeter. So that means we can, the diagonal here that divides into 2 is what we're looking for. D, we don't know what that is. But you know, like I said, the diagonal divides the rectangle into 2 equal parts. So that means definitely, you know that the first half will be equal to the second half. And also, the 2 sides of a rectangle are equal. So this is also going to be 10 centimeter. And this is going to be what? 5 centimeter. So like I said, basically, the diagonal is going to divide it into 2. So you have 2 equal parts here. So you have 10 centimeter, you have 5 centimeter, and you have the diagonal. And you also have the other half here. So you have 5 centimeter, and you have what? 10 centimeter. All right, and this is the diagonal. And you can see as well that these also are right angle what? Triangles. So we can now pick one of them, all right, so that we can solve for it. So the first part now is that we need to find the area. So to find the area now, that is pretty straightforward. So the area of a rectangle, we know that the area is equal to length times breadth, okay? Length times breadth. So the length, we know in this example, the length is equal to 10 and the breadth is equal to 5. So the breadth or the width, so the area is length times breadth. So that'll be equal to 10 times 5. And this is going to give us what? 50 centimeter what? Squared. Okay, 50 centimeters squared. All right, so let's find the diagonal now, okay? So number 2, the diagonal. So we're looking for the diagonal here. All right, so we're finding the diagonal for this particular rectangle. Okay, so like I said, we're going to just pick one of this. So let's just pick one of the shape because we know that the diagonal divides into 2 equal parts. So we just pick one and to use to find the diagonal. So you can use any of the shape because they're equal. So we have it as this. Okay, because the diagonal divides the rectangle into 2. So we have 10 and 5. And you can see it's a right angle. So we're going to use Pythagoras theorem, okay? So I've talked about Pythagoras in the previous video. All right, so Pythagoras theorem. So it applies here. So the Pythagoras, we have it like this. So I told this is C, then you have A and B, and it's a right angle. And how do you find? The relationship is the square of the longest side is equal to the sum of the other what? 2 sides. And you can rewrite this in different forms to be A squared is going to be equal to C squared minus B squared. Or you can say B squared is equal to C squared minus what? A squared. Now, for this now, we can now use Pythagoras now to solve this. So D squared is going to equal to what? 10 squared plus 5 squared. So D squared is going to be equal to 10 squared is what? 100 plus 25. And D squared is going to be equal to 100 and what? 25. Now, to find D, we have to do the square root of both sides. This will cancel that. So D is going to be equal to square root of 25 is plus or minus 5 root 5 centimeter. But you know that you can't have a negative sign for length or diagonal. So therefore, D is going to be equal to 5 root 5 centimeter. And that will be the answer for that. So that means you can redraw this now if you want to. So you have the rectangle like this. The diagonal is all the way up here. And this is going to be 5 root 5. Are you seeing it? Now the length is going to be what? 10. So this is centimeter, the length is going to be 10 centimeter, and the breadth is going to be what? 5 what? Centimeter, 5 centimeter, and what? 10 what? Centimeter. All right, and that will bring us to the end of the how to find the area of a what? A rectangle. All right, so the area of a rectangle is length times breadth, while for the perimeter of a rectangle is what? 2L plus what? B. And like I said, a rectangle, the two sides are equal and parallel, and the diagonal divides the rectangle into two equal parts. And that is that for that. So I'm going to go to the next video, which is going to talk about the area and perimeter of a trapezium. All right. How do you find the area and the perimeter of a trapezium? Okay. If you have any question, please let me know. And don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. So when I post the next video, you'll be the first person to know. And if you have any question, please don't hesitate to send me an email or drop a comment, and I'm going to get back to you. All right. See you soon and have a nice day.